Hello my DIY loving friends, it's Sarah from Medicated Housewife DIY, where crafting and mental health come together. Have you ever wanted to give your home that luxurious Pottery Barn look but without breaking the bank? Well, you're in luck. In this video, we'll show you how to create stunning high-end Pottery Barn decor dupes on a Dollar Tree budget. That's right, we're using some affordable Dollar Tree items and some creative techniques to achieve that high-end aesthetic that you love. So what are you waiting for? Let's go DIY together. For this DIY, I'm using this plate from Dollar Tree as a template, and I used it to mark a piece of round cardboard I had in my stash in two different places, kind of like a bullseye. I'm using this thick jute twine I got on Amazon, and I'll link it for you in the description box below. And then I cut out the circles that I marked, so I had three separate pieces of the cardboard round, same size as my plate, as you see me doing right here. Starting with the smallest middle piece of cardboard, I take my jute twine and I begin wrapping it in a circular motion, and I'm securing it in place with some hot glue. I continue wrapping it until that small circle is going to be completely covered with the jute. Next, I turn my attention to the second piece of cut cardboard circle, which is this ring, and I'm going to wrap the ring with the same jute, as you see me doing right here, and I'm using the hot glue to secure it in place. I wrap the ring first in 4 sections, and then I'm going to fill in the space between the 4 sections with more jute, because if I just continuously wrap the jute, starting at one place all the way around, there is too much of an angle on the wrap and my ring would start to look a little wonky. So this is my attempt at keeping the wrapped jute somewhat straight and even around the whole ring. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Next, I begin wrapping the last piece of cardboard, and that is this larger size ring. And again, I wrap this ring the same way as the one before it. I start with wrapping 4 sections of the ring and then filling in the empty space between the 4 sections with more jute, because just like the previous ring, if I were to try and wrap it continuously, it would start to look angled and slanted. So this is how I attempt to keep the jute wrapped more straight up and down. It's still not perfect, but it's straight enough for our purposes. Once that large ring is wrapped, I had changed my mind on using the Dollar Tree plate as a base for this, and instead I grabbed another piece of round cardboard from my stash. But you can easily cut any piece of cardboard into a circle to use for this. I just happen to have a lot of these cardboard rounds for some reason. I'm using this Beacon 3-in-1 glue for this, but any craft glue will work. Starting with the largest ring, I'm going to glue it down to the cardboard round that I am using as a base. Next, I use more Beacon glue to attach the smaller ring onto the cardboard base, fitting it inside of the larger ring, as you see me doing right here. And then I glue that small jute wrapped round into the center of that ring. I take a piece of nautical rope from Dollar Tree and I use some hot glue to attach it to the edge where that jute covered ring meets the cardboard base to camouflage that edge and to give it a more finished look. And then I take another piece of nautical rope and I place that along the seam between the 2 jute wrapped rings, securing it in place with some more hot glue. Initially, I had started out making this as kind of a platter, but last minute I switched that to a tray. I decided to add some rope handles, so I'm gluing some nautical rope handles to the bottom of my tray on both sides. And lastly, I decided to wrap the nautical rope handles with some jute to give those handles some added texture and a unique look. Now, this is my Pottery Barn Malibu Woven Collection inspiration piece, and here is my version. Yes, it's different, but there is a similar style, although I went more for the tray look over a platter. I love the look of the jute, and I think this has a definite high-end kind of appeal, plus it doesn't get any easier than wrapping jute over some scrap cardboard. Just a simple DIY, easy to make, inexpensive, but with definite bang for your buck. This next DIY begins with this wood tray from Dollar Tree Plus that I am going to paint with some folk art antique wax, which I will link for you below. I am painting the entire tray, the inside and the outside, completely with the antique wax, and I use a dry paper towel to wipe away any excess wax. Next, I have cut a ton of pieces of thick jute twine to the length that I need to cover the inside of the tray wall, going over that lip, and to the bottom of the outside of that tray wall, going vertically. I honestly don't know how many pieces that was that I cut, but trust me, it was a lot of pieces. I use hot glue to attach each piece, again, as I've said before, going vertically from the inside edge of the tray wall, coming over the lip, to the outside edge of the tray wall. And I am going to do this on both of the long sides of this entire tray. And as you can see here, I finished one side of the tray and moved on to do the exact same thing to the other side of the tray. I use a scissors to trim the excess fringe on the bottom of the tray. And then I'm going to use some hot glue to hold the ends of the jute down on the bottom of that tray. I grabbed 2 wood rings like the kind that you can get at Dollar Tree, and I painted both wood rings with the same folk art antique wax as I had previously painted my tray so that they would match. Using some more of that thick jute twine, I used some hot glue to secure the jute as I wrap the cut out handles on the wood tray with that jute, as you can see me doing here. And then I also wrapped the other handle on the other side the exact same way with jute. I take one of the wood rings that I had painted and I use some hot glue to attach it standing up onto the jute wrapped cutout handle. I take another piece of jute and wrap it around both the wood ring and the handle 4 times, securing it in place with hot glue. I had already done the same thing with the other wood ring on the other side of the tray. I use another piece of jute to line the inside edge of the tray and to cover up all of those edges of jute that's wrapped around the tray walls. And because less is not always more for me, sometimes more is more, I decided to give my tray some height. And I grabbed 4 of these little wooden people. I'll link those for you below. But you could also use the wooden angels that Dollar Tree sometimes has to do this as well. I painted them with the same antique wax to match the tray and the wood rings. And then I glued them to the bottom of the tray. I'm using hot glue for the sake of the video, but for long-term hold, I would recommend some E6000 for this. And this is my Pottery Barn inspiration piece, and then this is my version. Now, I know it is not an exact dupe, and to be totally honest, I didn't use the jute on the tray bottom only because I didn't have enough jute left for that, but I really like this tray, and I especially like my addition of the wood ring handles. I think they give the tray a little something extra, and I really like the look of the jute twine going vertically on the tray walls. That to me is something new, instead of jute wrapped around a tray like we've all seen before. For this next DIY, we're using a plastic bowl and a rigid plastic cup, both of which you can get at Dollar Tree. I'm also using this thick jute twine, which I'll link for you below, using some hot glue sticks that I got at Dollar Tree, and I am only mentioning that because it will come back to haunt me later. So, using hot glue, I'm attaching the jute to the bowl vertically from the outside bottom edge all the way to the inside bottom edge, and then back up again until the entire bowl is covered outside and inside with the jute. Once my bowl is covered, I turn my attention to the plastic cup, which we will also cover with the jute twine going vertically, but only on the outside of the cup, since the inside of the cup is not going to be visible on the project. I use a scissors to trim all the excess fringe jute at the opening of the cup, which is going to be the bottom of our project, and I trim it so that it will stand up straight. And as I mentioned before, I use the Dollar Tree hot glue sticks on this project, and unfortunately, it dries very white instead of clear. And although it may be hard to see on this video in person, it is very visible, which, just to be honest and transparent with you guys, was kind of a bummer. But I finished the project anyway. I did switch to Gorilla Glue hot glue sticks after that, and I used the hot glue to attach my bowl to the cup bottom, as you see me doing right here. I painted this small 3-inch wood round I had lying around with some antique wax and used that in the inside bottom of my bowl to give it a slightly more finished look. I felt like the bottom of the bowl and the pedestal bottom didn't look as neat and cohesive as I would have liked, so I decided to cover them both up with some more jute, covering both bottoms of the project. Lastly, I decided to also put a piece of jute going around the top of the bowl, just trying to neaten that part up a little bit. And this was my Pottery Barn inspiration piece, and here's my dupe. Now, I would be lying if I said I wasn't a little disappointed in my dupe. I mean, first of all, the hot glue is visible, and I felt like if I had used a larger, more shallow bowl, it would have worked a bit better. But all in all, it's still an attractive little bowl, and it works for greenery or little mini fruits, as I've styled it here. I don't hate it. It just wasn't my absolute favorite. I hope you enjoyed this video and found some inspiration for your own home. If you like what you saw, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to Medicated Housewife DIY for more budget-friendly DIY projects and home decor ideas. If you have any questions or suggestions for future videos, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I love hearing from you. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm Sarah, the Medicated Housewife, reminding you to keep crafting, keep smiling, and together we're making the world a more beautiful place, one DIY at a time.